There are two pictures from my childhood that I will probably never forget. They were about how one should imagine heaven and hell. Sometimes strange thoughts came to mind. I realized early on that this idea of heaven had nothing to do with the images you often see from Dutch painters. Roasted pigeons flying into your mouth and a life of luxury. That never really appealed to me, perhaps because I had already experienced it enough of that on earth. That might be true. I also never imagined hell as a place where it's as hot as an oven and people roast in the fire. That seemed a bit strange to me as well. That's why these two pictures captivated me so much. One shows hell. People are sitting at an incredibly long table, richly set, and each of them has oversized spoons in their hands. Everyone is trying to eat with these spoons. The figures are all emaciated, struggling in the strangest ways to get food into their mouths. The other picture shows heaven. The same long table, equally filled, and the same spoons. But here, one person feeds the other. In life, we have an abundance of everything, and above all, enough for everyone. When we share, when we help each other, when we are there for one another, then it is truly enough. Somehow, these two pictures came to mind again when I read the weekly impulse. A prayer in the Old Testament praises God for His endless goodness and then concludes, "All eyes wait upon you, and you give them their food in due season." It must also be said that this prayer is not really about food, at least not food for the body, but rather food for the soul. I always say it's good to read a verse in context. It is nestled between two other sentences, and then it sounds like this. The Lord upholds all who fall and lifts up all who are bowed down. All eyes look to you, and you give them their food at the proper time. You open your hand and satisfy the desires of every living thing. God gives us what we need in life when we are down, when nothing is working, when the battery is empty, and when life feels empty and meaningless. In those moments, when we turn our eyes to Him, when we look away from what weighs us down, when we stop trying to help ourselves and stop feeding ourselves, in those moments God gives us what we need. And this beautiful old word, He satisfied us with pleasure. He gives us what pleases us and what is good for us. No one has to go hungry under God's watch and in His presence, at His table. Yes, another prayer even says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." No matter the situation we are in, God provides for us because He cares for us. And what God does for us, we can do for each other. Help one another, feed one another with grace and mercy. Then the soul will be satisfied and people will be well. Good and nurturing God, with you is fullness, and you give abundantly what we need for life. You satisfy not only the body but also the soul. In you we find contentment, prosperity, peace and calm. Grant us your loving nature and the ability to see others. Amen.